What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 10, Breaking Up the Party. Y'all, I don't think we're going to get any couple this season that goes past Decision Day. I think the experts did a bad job. I think they did a horrible job this season because in every season we might have one hopeful, at least one hopeful. Like when you're watching the process, you're like, oh, for sure, this couple, they're going to make it. Whether they do or they don't, there's always like a hopeful couple, at least one couple that you're like really rooting for, really hoping that they'll say yes at the end. I don't see it happening for any of these couples because we are still very early on in these marriages and there's a lot of problems with all of them. So Cameron and Claire. So Cameron explains why he didn't talk about his dad's health. He said that he wasn't trying to keep this from her on purpose. He wasn't being secretive about it. It was just that this has been a part of his life. His dad's declining health has been a part of his life for a very long time, and it's probably difficult for him to talk about as well, and it never really came up, I guess, naturally in a conversation, so he never mentioned it. But it wasn't like he was purposely trying to not talk about it. And he also said that the reason why his father does not know that he's on this show is because he didn't want his father to worry about him. He didn't want to put more on his father's plate than he had to. He said, my dad's going through enough already, and there's no need to let him know that I'm on this wackadoodle reality TV show where I'm supposed to be marrying a stranger. So then they're having dinner, and Cameron brings up how they're stuck or that they are at an impasse in their relationship. They've reached a roadblock because it's not really developing past anything. It hasn't really developed into like a romantic connection. Claire also agrees that there is no romance at all between them, but she does acknowledge that she does appreciate certain things that he does. For example, like he'll check on her if she sees that she's uncomfortable about something or like she's tense about something. He'll like ask her, are you okay? Are you okay? So she does appreciate that, and that makes her like feel something for him. So, but she's like, having those romantic feelings and acting on them, she just doesn't really have them. She says, I'm pretty sure you don't, it wouldn't feel natural for you to kiss me. And he was like, yeah, it would. Yeah, it'd feel natural for me to kiss you. And so she had no idea, right? Because Cameron is very jokey. He's also very, very arrogant. And so I don't think he's ever really expressed to Claire exactly how he feels about her. So I don't think she really even knew that he felt that way about her. So he wanted to know if there was any chance at all of things being romantic between them. I think he says to her, is there like at least a 0.001% chance that you're going to have romantic feelings for him? And she said no. And he nearly had a heart attack. And then she said, it's more than a 0.1% chance. He almost passed out. So he says, well, I just don't want to have to wait in vain. As long as there's a chance, I'll stick it out. So there's a potluck that they all go to, but we're going to talk about the potluck later. But after they get back from the potluck, both Claire and Cameron realize that their situation is not as bad as the other couples. Cameron says that moving forward, though, he's going to have to put himself first. He has to be protective of his own feelings, especially after he saw what Orion and Lauren went through. Cameron tells her that it's very unlikely that they'll be able to move past their two major roadblocks, which is religion and intimacy. And so Claire also is like, I don't know what we can do to get past this. So then they meet up with Dr. Pia. Dr. Pia notices right away that they're not wearing their rings, which basically means that they're throwing in the towel. So Cameron tells Dr. Pia that the possibility of them lasting long term is like very, very slim to none. So, and he says that the most painful thing about their situation is that they're very compatible with one another. They like each other and they get along for the most part, but that romantic thing just isn't there. And he said that he's getting attached and he needs to protect himself. So Dr. Pia suggests that they need to do more living and less talking. Stop overanalyzing every single little aspect of your relationship and just enjoy each other and live life together and concentrate more on what makes your relationship positive instead of the negative. So Cameron says, that's very good advice, Dr. Pia, but I'm going to have to sleep on that because I just have to think about that. I can't make that decision right now. So later on, they're having a conversation and Cameron is seriously contemplating moving out and leaving the marriage. He's really contemplating it. And so he wants Claire to show him that she doesn't want him to leave. But Claire is being very diplomatic. Claire says, I don't want you to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. She's basically like, I think I don't know. I think she doesn't want to lead him on. So she doesn't want to say, oh, please don't do this. Please stay. I want you to be here. Don't leave me. Because then she might be leading him on. But she also doesn't want to stay. She also doesn't want to say, yeah, I think you should leave. Because she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. And she's probably hoping and praying that the Married at First Sight fairy will come and visit her and sprinkle some romantic feelings on her, so that there is a chance and that there is hope that something can develop between them. So she's kind of like, playing it safe with him. She's like, well, I don't want you to do anything that's not going to make you comfortable. She says, if you're gone, I'm going to miss you, but I don't know why she couldn't just leave it at that and just say, if you're gone, I'm going to miss you. Just leave it at that. But she goes further on to say, if you're gone, I'm going to miss you, but I don't know if I'm going to be missing you or just missing the fact that this physical body that's been with me for the past 3 weeks is no longer there. So Cameron suggests that he probably should sleep in another room, which I think is the death knell for a relationship, when y'all sleep in separate rooms. I think that's the beginning of the end for Cameron and Claire. Moving on to Brandon and Emily. So Emily apologizes for her friend's behavior once again. And I feel like when she was apologizing again, I think Brandon should have just said, you know what, Emily, you don't have to apologize anymore. I understand your friends were a little bit tipsy. They were coming on, really, really strong, guns blazing. They had too much to drink. Let's just forget about it. But she apologizes again, and he kind of like victimizes himself. He was like, yeah, your friends were so wrong for saying that and for doing that. And yeah, they shouldn't have been like that. He was really like making himself out to be the victim. Kind of like, just enjoying the sympathy and the sorrow of it all, like he was really done wrong by these evil women. And so Emily tells him, I'm always going to take your side. Don't speak too soon, Emily. But she says, I'm always going to take your side. And so then he decides, you know what, let's just go ahead and forgive and forget. So at the potluck, they talk about, what their issues are, and their issue is attraction. And Brendan says he just doesn't have those romantic feelings for Emily. We all know that. Moving on. Dr. Pia is going to be visiting them. Before Dr. Pia arrives, Brendan tells Emily, he says, I wonder what her intentions are, referring to Dr. Pia. What do you think her intentions are, Brendan? What do you think her intentions are? Her intentions are to help you. What do you think she's coming there to do? To sabotage y'all? To try to convince her to get a divorce? Like, what are you talking about? What her intentions are? Dr. Pia, we like Dr. Pia. So you better tread lightly, okay, when you're talking about Dr. Pia. So Dr. Pia shows up. Emily says that talking about emotions is just not Brennan's thing. He's not really comfortable or open about his emotions. So Brennan agrees. Yes, I don't talk about my emotions. So Dr. Pia asks if he can communicate why he doesn't feel a romantic connection. So then Brennan says, let's be mindful of Emily's feelings. Just because Dr. Pia asked, why do you not have these feelings for her? What's stopping you from having these feelings for her? He gets very defensive because I think Brendan is the kind of person, he doesn't want to be at fault for anything. He doesn't want to be blamed for anything. And so for him to just come out and say, she's not my type, I don't find her attractive, he's going to look like the bad guy. And he anticipates people like criticizing him or judging him or ganging up on him. And that's just not so. I think it's okay to not have an attraction for somebody. I think it's okay. It's fine if you don't feel an attraction for somebody. It's not a big deal. Not everybody is going to be attracted to everybody. I don't know why you just can't admit that. It's okay. I don't know. Married at First Sight is like a big sin to say I'm just not attracted to you, unless you're Chris from the Chris and Paige season. So Dr. Pia questions if Brandon is holding back from being fully honest because he doesn't want to hurt her feelings. Obviously, yeah, he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, and he doesn't want to look like the bad guy. Dr. Pia picks up on Emily's body language, when she does that squinting thing, and she scrunches up her nose, and she's like, so Dr. Pia was like, what is that all about? Why do you do that? What does that mean when you do that? And so then Brennan interferes and says, oh, that's just Emily being Emily. Those are just the faces that she makes. It doesn't mean anything. And so Dr. P was like, well, I'm asking Emily. And so Brandon was like, but I'm okay. I'm talking to my wife or whatever he said. And Dr. P was like, can you like let her answer for herself? Like, what the hell is going on here? So all of a sudden now Brandon is, like, oh, so protective of Emily. And he tells her, this is my wife, so I'm going to make sure she's okay. Oh, this is the wife that you didn't want to move in with. This is the wife that you didn't want to help her with her bags when she had a busted wrist. This is the wife that you want to be so protective over now, because now we're getting deep, we're getting deep into your feelings and why you're acting the way you're acting. All of a sudden you're deflecting and it's all about Emily's feelings. So Dr. Pia says we need to know what the barrier is to you having a romantic feeling for her so that we can fix it. So Brandon says he doesn't have the feelings, so he doesn't act on them. Brandon says that he's never experienced this before because usually, attraction has been very immediate for him. Admittedly, he does care about her and he is protective of her, but it's like a false protection. When he wants to be protective of her, it's always because he knows that he needs to reveal something about himself. That's when he becomes protective of her. I don't think he's protective of her in any other way. We'll talk about therapy. Dr. Pia suggests individual therapy for Brandon. And I think she was this close from saying you might need anger management. I think that's what she was kind of like hinting at, but didn't want to say it because he really would have gone off. So she was like, what about if we did some individual therapy? And Brandon shut that down. He was like, I don't need that. He says, I do a lot of my own self-reflection. I don't need therapy. And so she says, well, it's a concern that you said you don't have any feelings. So we need to see, why don't you have any feelings? And he's just like, he's not going to go to therapy. He shuts it down immediately. So after Dr. Pia leaves, we're having a conversation over dinner. And Emily says, I think it's a good idea that you should go to therapy and, try to figure out your feelings and why you don't have them. And so, no, she says, I think you have feelings. You just don't know what they are. So Brandon thinks that she is referring to feelings for her. And I think Emily was just talking about feelings in general. And I think maybe that was the miscommunication between Brandon and Dr. Pia, where when he says, I just don't have feelings, I think he was saying, I don't have feelings for Emily. But I think we interpreted that as he didn't have feelings, period. And that's why she suggested therapy. Not because you don't have feelings for Emily. Like, why don't you have feelings at all? So I think that's why Brandon got really tense and frustrated with Emily after Dr. Pia left. Because when Emily says, if you don't have feelings, you need to go talk to somebody about that. And he was like, I don't know what the big deal is if I don't have feelings for you. And she was like, not feelings for me, feelings in general. So he got really frustrated very quickly. And he's dead set against therapy. I think he needs anger management, to tell you the truth. Austin and Becca. So Becca and Austin are playing cards. He's teaching her a card game. It's called pegging and scrimmage, I think. And so Becca is so like ready and turned on that everything is like sexual for her, even this card game. And so she, she's sexualizing the card game and making all these sexual innuendos at the card game. And, Austin's just giggling away. So Becca's ready to go. Austin is nowhere near where she's at. Becca says that she needs something to happen between them to differentiate their relationship from a regular platonic relationship. So something needs to happen, and it's just not. So at the potluck, they talk about how what they're struggling with is intimacy. And Austin says that he just moves at a much slower rate than Becca. Okay, fine. So Emily and Brandon come over to visit them. Becca tells Emily that her and Austin are just fine. They're just dandy. And Emily talks about Brandon shutting down and not being direct about whether or not, about his feelings for her, his attraction for her. And Becca says there's no way he's not attracted to you, so it must be something else. What is wrong with Brandon not being attracted to Emily? What's so bad about that? He's just not I don't understand why. Now, Brandon has a lot of problems. He has a lot of issues. Okay, anger being one of them. But I don't think that we should villainize him because he doesn't have an attraction for Emily. Can that attraction grow? Nope. I don't think so. That's fine. It's okay. They're just not meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Maybe in a few years, if they really like, if he, because he says that getting a divorce is not an option for him. So if he really does believe that, then maybe in a few years he will grow to care for her and have feelings for her, which can develop into physical attraction. But the time frame that this show is giving them, no, it's not going to happen. So Becca says there's no way. Okay, so Emily, she starts to cry because she's like, she's never had a she's never had a confidence issue until now. Now she's beginning to second guess herself, doesn't feel as attractive because she's living with a man who's not attracted to her. I think that can, damage any woman's psyche, especially when you are attracted to him, because Emily is attracted to Brennan. I don't know if she is now, but she was attracted to Brennan. And so that can really hurt and can do. I mean, we're all human. We have feelings. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved and all of that. We want the man that we find attractive to find us attractive. So I can understand her breaking down and getting really emotional about it. But then I can also understand Brennan just not having that feeling for her. It's okay. I think it's okay. They're both right. They're both okay. The only issue is Brennan's anger management. So Austin is talking to Brennan, and Brennan is talking about how he doesn't have that physical attraction. And so then Austin asks Brennan, do you think it's possible for that physical attraction to grow over time? Which I know he's really asking for himself. So Brennan says he doesn't know because in the past attraction has always been very immediate for him, obviously, because in the real world we gravitate towards the people that we are physically attracted to. So Austin was like, he's sympathizing with Brennan. He's like, yeah, man, I know it's really hard. No, it's not. It's not hard. That's why we have the problem that we have, because it's not hard. Moving on. Dr. Pia comes to visit Austin and Becca. So as soon as they walk into the meeting, they're holding hands because, gosh darn it, if they don't think they're doing well, they're going to make us think that they're doing well. So the first question out of Dr. Pia's mouth is, how was the intimacy in the relationship? She got right down to it. And Becca says, well, I move at a lot faster pace than he does. Austin says that he needs more of a connection before they can get there. And he says he wants it to be more special than just banging. What are you talking about? And I like that Dr. Pia said, well, y'all are married. Y'all care for each other. So this is never going to be like a just banging type of situation. So if you do decide to go there, it's like you're going there with your wife. Okay. So anyways, so Becca says that, she's drawn to him. She is attracted to him. Like I said, Becca has been ready to go since day one. Dr. Pia says, well, do y'all do other things other than intercourse? And for whatever reason, they don't. And I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't y'all do anything other than, like, why don't y'all explore with other things? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do y'all do? Y'all just peck and go to bed? Like, y'all don't do anything else at all in the sexual realm? Like, I don't understand that. If they don't do that, then Austin really is not attracted to her. Because I can understand if you're like having some performance issues or something. But if y'all ain't doing nothing at all, but just a little necking, oh, I don't know what's going on. So Dr. Pia's prescription is for them to have a little bit more fun with each other, explore each other, without that pressure of having intercourse, but still explore each other and have a good time with one another. So we'll see if that happens. I don't want to talk much about the potluck because like I've talked about it enough already. Everybody's struggling in their own capacity. Lauren and Orion, they show up at the potluck and I'm like, why do y'all keep putting Lauren through this? Every time Lauren shows up after they made the decision to get a divorce, Lauren has a breakdown. So they tell the group that they're gonna get a divorce and they talk about what happened and they rehash the whole racist joke incident, communication problems, and Lauren wanted to be very clear that she was not the one that wanted the divorce. It was all Orion, that she was willing to she was willing to she was willing to put in the work to make the relationship work. She was willing to stick it out, do what they had to do to make it everlasting. That she did not want to call it quits, especially this damn soon. And he made it seem like they had no choice but to get a divorce. They were just not compatible at all. So I don't want to rehash Orion and Lauren. The only thing that I want to say is that at the very end of it all, in her little interview, Lauren, by the way, Lauren, ever since they came back from Mexico, Lauren has been a 10. She's been looking impeccable. Okay. Every time that we've seen Lauren, ever since they came back from their honeymoon, she has been looking impeccable, just beautiful. So Lauren says that she's ready to move on with her life. She knows that she tried her best, which she did. She did it all. She talked, she communicated, she opened up, she cried, she supported him. She educated herself on whatever he felt like she was lacking. She apologized profusely about a joke that she made in real ignorantly, because she had no idea what the hell she was talking about. And she got absolutely villainized for saying that. And y'all, let's not rehash it. So in her little interview, she starts crying. She completely breaks down, and it broke my heart to see her, because she's just too beautiful, too intelligent, too compassionate to be going through this over somebody like Orion. And then they show us the teaser for next week where he's trying to worm himself back into her life. Girl, don't do it. It's one thing if somebody embarrasses you publicly and caught you off guard. It's something else completely different when you're handing them the tools to embarrass you again, because that's exactly what Orion is going to do to her if she decides to go back to him. So I know for a fact, I know that Lauren is not going to go back to Orion. And if she does get back with Orion, y'all, it's going to be a really sad situation. Because I'm going to have to drag her. If she decides to go back to Orion, I'm going to have to drag her. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.